So I've always been pretty hesitant on using my door frame in order to perform many of my exercises, including vertical pulling like pull-ups. I do have things like the cross grips that I normally use to do this exercise, but it's always been something that's been in the back of my mind as maybe not the best option when it comes to safety. So I've been scouring around to find safer options than using door frames for things like pull downs. And I've even thought about using standalone devices, but I actually came across one that uses a door itself that seems to be a better option than some of the other ones I have, like the cross grips for pull downs or the fabric style where the door could open. So the one I have today is the Kipica door anchor that I just got, ran some tests, and I wanted to show you my thoughts on it. Now effectively, this is a clamp that goes on your door that has a hook that the resistance bands can go into. This clamp makes it a bit more secure as it can't come off even if the door is swung open because it's clamped right onto the door itself. Your door would actually have to break off its hinges in order to actually come back and hurt you. So according to Amazon where I bought it, this is made of high quality steel that can support up to 500 pounds of resistance. And again, clamps onto your door. So if your door can't support that, you might find that the door comes off its hinges, but the actual clamp itself can support up to 500 pounds of resistance. And you should be able to clamp it onto a door that's from ½ inch all the way up to about 2 inches. Now when I bought this on Amazon, it was at a slight discount of $16.99, down from the main listing of $19.99. But still, even for 20 bucks, I think this is a very good value for what you're getting out of it with your resistance bands. But do know you will need a spacing of at least 1/8 inch in order to close your door if that's the goal you want with it. So again, once you clamp it onto the door and you try and close it, you will need at least 1/8 of an inch of space for the door to close, which they say is about the thickness of 3 credit cards. And in my testing, mine does not close, so I do have to use it with the door open, meaning I will have to sit up against the door when using it, but that's fine with me if I feel safer when doing my exercise. Alright, so the main draw to something like this would be for specific exercises like pull downs. Yes, the clamp can go on the top, side, and bottom of your door. I really don't care, I'm just using it for vertical pulling based exercises. So again, the big one is going to be pull downs, which is the number one thing I use with my door anchors. Next up would be something like a cable crunch with this device. And then lastly, you could also hook it up to do things like tricep pushdowns. Now, of course, there are other exercises such as chest pressing away, seated rows, and things like that. But again, I'm using it really just in the vertical plane. That is why I have it set up the way I do. Feel free to use it for whatever you want as long as your door supports it. But also make sure that your door itself can withstand the 500 pounds of resistance. So here's a quick breakdown of how it works. First off, you're going to take the clamp and you're going to unscrew it until it can fit on top of your doorway where you want it to actually lie all the way on the back side of the clamp before you tighten it onto your door. And in order to tighten and loosen it, all you gotta do is turn it right or left in order to loosen it or tighten it. That way it fits on your door. Just make sure you tighten it before you actually go and use it. Once you do that, there is a little twist lock on the hook that you put the resistance bands on in order to open it. Now, if you're someone who's afraid that maybe the bands will come out, you can actually close this as well so the bands are locked inside of the hook. But for me, I just kind of leave it open because they're not really going to come out, especially if you have tension pulling down on it. But maybe you're doing something else where it might come off, so you might want to lock it for those exercises. But yeah, once you have the clamp on the door and you have the resistance bands on it, do whatever exercise you need and you're pretty much good to go. Now, I personally do remove it after use because I need to get in and out of my door as well as close it for things like meetings since I am in my office. But if you don't have something like that, you could just leave it there until you need to use it next time. But in my quick testing, so far it has been awesome. It works for all of the exercises I recommended, and because there's really not a lot of distance down from the top of the door frame, you actually do get pretty good pre-stretch with this when using it versus some of the other ones I've used in the past. Some of those door anchors, the fabric versions, might actually stick out pretty far, meaning that you get less resistance to pull from if you're kneeling on the ground. So this one doesn't really have a lot of that. It's pretty high up on the door itself, meaning I get a better stretch when using my resistance bands for things like pull downs. And yes, the main reason I got this was for safety, and I do feel a lot safer when using it. Now, this could change in time. I haven't used it too much, but as I've seen this video and running quite a few tests with it so far, I've really come to like it. And yes, I'm only, again, using it in the vertical plane, so I haven't tested anything like using it from the bottom of the door or the side of the door, because I'm really not going to be doing anything with those exercises, and I can't close the door, remember? So If you want it for that, you might need to do some additional testing on your own. But after all that, feel free to take a look and get it if you have a setup. If you want to check out all the equipment I have in my home gym, feel free to take a look at the video on screen.